Hi, I am Christian Dimmer and I wrote a song from my Frankie. You can find a performance on it on my channel. It's the video right before this one. It's also called Sphinx. That's a shorter name. I wrote it for my cat. His name is Frankie, and Sphinxes are of course part feline, and it was also a nickname for President Franklin D. Roosevelt, after whom Frankie is named. I'm using sheet music here, which I wrote using Dorico, and you should be able to find a PDF of it in the description if you want to read it. It doesn't exactly capture how I performed it in the recital video, or just how I perform it in general. But I don't expect you to play it exactly as it's written. You should have your own interpretation, or just write something inspired from it if you are a musician. That's what I would hope you would do, I guess. So it starts off with these 4 chords. So this would be D minor 9. The voicing is 1, 5, 3, 4, 7, 9. And if you're not familiar with scale degrees, this D would be the 1, and then going up it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 or 1. It's the same note. And then if you keep going up, it's 9, 10, 11, 12, so on. Because I guess, I don't know, that's just how it is. This is a 9, not a 2, because it's played after the rest of the chord, after the 7 and everything. So D minor 9 with a 4 right there, the G. And then the G stays there, and we have F major 9. G is also the 9 of that chord. And then B flat major 9 with the 4, same voicing as the D except it's major. And then C major 9, add 6. So this one is more interesting because there's a B in it, and B is not in the key of D minor, which is what I would say is the scale or the main key of this song. For the staff, I have it in F major, which is the same as D. So yeah, D minor has sounds like that. There is a B flat in it, but not a B. It's just out of key. You could say that this is actually in the key of C, and then that would mean that this is D Dorian, and F Lydian, and it's the B flat chord that's out of key. I think, believe that the D minor as the root makes more sense, and I did, write the piece. So, as for the chord progression, it would be, if it was D minor, 1, 3, 6, 7. 1. Well, 1, 3, 6, flat 7. The 1 being major. If you were to put it in F major, then it's 6, 1, 4, 5, and Yeah, so moving on, we get to the arpeggiated part. An arpeggio is basically just playing the chord out instead of doing it all at once like this. So I do that for one chord and then go 1, 5 and play the rest all together, and then another arpeggio, then 1, 5. As for the real world connection, when I wrote this, I was just thinking about Frankie sleeping. He sleeps for a good part of the day, so this makes up a good part of the song, these chords. It's also very dreamy, I guess. And then, if I come to visit him, maybe he will get aggravated with me and bite me, and that's where this chord kind of comes in. It's very dissonant, and this G sharp is also an accidental. It's not in the key, but then it goes into the B flat, which it's very tension building, but it sounds more interesting, so with the G and the D minor beforehand, it makes a very chromatic ascending chord progression. Then we just go back into the mysterious C chord. And that's pretty much the first section. There's then the more simple variation of these chords that I use as kind of a transitioning into the second part. This sounds like this. This is 1, 5, 7 on the bass, and then the high section is really based around the 3 right here. So it does get, I incorporate more notes further on to where it sounds like this. Not much to it that you couldn't get from just looking at the sheet music, but then it transitions nicely into the next section, which is more complicated and more active. It's a polyrhythm. It's also kind of changing key. We're in A minor now, and so this rhythm is centered around the A and the C. This sounds a lot like how Frankie runs. He is quadrupedal, and that's just how I thought it would best be incorporated into music. The bass is also pretty interesting. It goes like this. It's very chromatic, and then the high part does change a little bit too. Instead of doing this, it goes, and then eventually does the whole A minor chord, like. And playing it with the F major does actually make it a F major 7 instead of just an A minor. But then it goes back to the C sharp, which is again another very dissonant chord, and slowly goes into a C sharp minor 7, and that's how we get into the next section. This is another really simple part. It's probably the most boring one, because again it's transitionary into the final section, final part of the piece. So it's an arpeggiation of this F major over the D, so it's a D minor 7. To the D minor 7, a descending arpeggio, and that brings us back into the B flat, and then the C, and we're back into the main chord progression. So with this C, I take the E, A, and D, the 3, 6, and 9 of the chord, and then I arpeggiate that throughout the whole thing. Sounds like this. So yeah, this is a 1, 5, 7 for each chord, except for when I get to the F, it goes, well, it's just 2 notes instead of 3, at least for the left hand part. And that's because the E, being the 7, is already being played. And I also just thought it sounded cool. It's more variation. You have 3 notes for the left hand, and then just 2 notes. Eventually I do like the it's a power chord, 1, 5, just the 1, 5 for the chord. Again, still keeping the E, A, D. And then finally we're back into the arpeggiation. It's similar to the beginning, but not quite. Instead of, it's starting on this 4 and then going into the 3, playing the whole rest of the chord. And then also, instead of playing that all at once, it's arpeggiated as well. But there's still like one chord that is longer and then another chord that's shorter. Like this is longer. I kind of take my time with that chord and then go a long one, shorter. Yeah, that's basically it until the final time that I arrive at the C. I do the final arpeggiation. I know I've said that a lot, but there's a lot of arpeggiating. I don't know what to say. So for this C, it goes 1, 5, 7, 3, 6, 9. This is the AED, like from the previous section. And I really like this voicing. It's almost kind of oriental, but it's interesting. It's dissonant and new, and that leads us into the final 2 notes song, which are B flat and the D. So that's probably maybe not exactly the chord you would expect, since I've said it's in the key of D minor. After this, I think a typical conclusion would be like back to this D minor. But no, I do B flat, which does technically have D minor in it, but it's, I don't know, that's really just how I chose to end it. I thought it sounded better, and that's pretty much the whole piece, explained by me, its author. You can find Frankie on Instagram at FrankieTheCat15. Again, I have the PDF for this sheet music in the description, and consider subscribing. I guess I may make more content like this or some other stuff. I don't know. Bye.